April, it's tax day. Welcome to the April 2019 Facilitator and Facilitator in Training check-in. We see some new faces, we see some old faces. We're gonna wait a few minutes for everyone just to say hi and who they are, whether they're a facilitator in training, or and where in the world they are. So we'll wait a little bit because people will pop in like Pam just did. And so let's give that at about 5 or 6 minutes or so, and we'll go ahead and get started with the content of the call, and then we'll go ahead and do quick introductions. And for those who are new to this call, this is something that we have just about different people every time, and so it's just a matter of when people have the time to join in. What we're going to start doing is we're going to start, if we really get organized, we may send out a note in advance saying what the agenda is, so you can decide how important it is for you to check in. But we are definitely going to put the topics covered under the videos on our website each month. So you can then, when you go back to see if you want to listen to it, you can say, oh, you know, I know all that already, or that's something I want to check in on. So a couple of just quick updates that I'll share before I turn it over to Jennifer, who's going to run the bulk of the meeting today, is that number one, and some of you are in the current facilitator and training course, so this won't be applied to you, but for those who are either on the call or who are listening, we are making some changes through the course of this current facilitator training course. We're making some tweaks to the presentations and to the facilitator guide. One of the things that we've done is we have, based on lots of good feedback from people, is we have changed the format so that we have all of the introductory material in the first part of the manual. So explanations on how to do critical insight activities, general comments on contemplative practices, ways of running the mindful dialogues, etc., are all in one section. And now we have a section in the facilitator guide for each skill. So that if you go to skill 5 and you're looking at common humanity and impartiality, in that one section, you'll have the critical insight activities and the contemplative practices for that skill. So if you're imagining this in a 3-ring binder, you'll be able to just pull that section out with all your notes and go to your teacher session and then come back and be able to put it back in there. So we're redesigning that. That will go live on the website for the facilitators relatively soon. We're still tweaking a couple things again for this course, but that's going to go up very soon, and we'll send out an email when that does. The other thing is we're making some tweaks to some of the PowerPoints, nothing significant, but some small tweaks in terms of adding maybe a definition here or two, or we've added a few key pieces of information about calming body and mind that we've added to the program or added to the slide presentation. So all of that, if you go on the website and you look at the PowerPoint section, it'll indicate from now on we're going to have a indication on when that PowerPoint was updated. So you'll be able to know if your PowerPoint is the most recent one, and if not, you'll be able to download it, and there'll be a link to a new video that has been edited to add that information. So those are the two big really announcements I want to make in terms of course content as facilitators and facilitators in training. So again, remember to keep checking that part of the site. The only other announcement I'll make, and then I'll turn it over to Jennifer, is we've been talking a lot about launching this coaching program, and the email for that is actually going to go out today. We're going to run a 3-month pilot. Teresa Cowan-Jones, who many of you know, who runs Compassionate San Antonio, not San Antonio, sorry, I was looking at Martha Ann, who runs Compassionate Tucson, is going to be running this coaching program, and we're going to start with 2 cohorts of 6 people, and they're going to start in May, and people will be able to sign up for that. We're going to send an email blast today out to everybody that we have their email address who's been through CIT, and we'll pilot that for a few months and see how that goes. Any questions on that content before I turn it over to Jennifer? Okay, why don't we just quickly go around, and maybe I'll Since I have you in a particular order on my screen, I'll call out your name. And if you can just tell us your name, where you're located on the planet, and whether or not you're a facilitator or facilitator in training. So let me start with Lauren, since she's the first on my list.
Hi everyone, I'm Lauren checking out. I am currently located in Atlanta, Georgia, and I am a facilitator in training.
Thanks, Lauren. Mara? You have to unmute.
Are you talking to me?
Sorry,
Mikey?
Mara Burkhardt in Tucson, Arizona, also a facilitator in training.
Mara. The next person is actually Rebecca, and for those who have never met Rebecca, which I think is some of you, most of you maybe, Rebecca is going to tell you where she is, but she is actually a level 2 facilitator in training. So you might be seeing and hearing more from her. Rebecca. Wait, we can't hear you again, Rebecca. So I will announce for Rebecca. Last time she had to call in at the same time that she was on video. So Rebecca is at Life University in Marietta, Georgia. Her job title is actually to be in charge of serving lasting purpose. So she's in charge of all service initiatives for the school. She's a level 1 facilitator, has facilitated on campus and off, and is now working to become a level 2 facilitator, working with a lot of the folks that are in the facilitator and training program now. Anita, I'll let you go next.
Hi, I'm Anita. I'm in Houston, Texas, with Compassionate Houston, and I'm in training.
Thanks, Anita. Pam?
Pam Lewis. I'm in Houston also with Compassion Houston, and I've completed the facilitator training.
Great, Pam, and maybe we'll hear from you a little bit later when we ask people about courses they're trying to get launched.
Okay.
Nancy.
Hey, Nancy Gales here. I'm in Rockaway Beach, a suburb of New York City, and I'm a facilitator in training.
Thanks, Nancy. So Charlie and Connolly.
Yeah, Charlie and Connolly, Dallas, Texas. We're facilitators.
And just finished our first class.
Hey.
Sue. Sue, can you hear me? You might be muted. Yeah.
Did you call me, Michael?
I did.
My internet is not stable, and so everybody keeps breaking up, so I wasn't entirely sure. I'm Sue Gilman. I'm in Atlanta, and I'm a newly minted facilitator.
Yay!
Hey.
Martha Ann. You're muted, Martha Ann.
Martha, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Martha Ann Kirk in San Antonio, Texas, a facilitator in training, and really happy to hear about Dallas and Houston. Hello, other Texans.
Kate, can you hear us?
Yes, hi everyone. Sorry, I'm in transit from.
Okay, be safe.
I'm actually just stopping for gas, so this is perfect timing. I am a facilitator of compassionate integrity training, and I'm looking forward to teaching a class one of these days. So it's nice to meet everybody and see everyone again.
And where are you?
Right now I'm in Indiana, but I'm on my way back to home, which is Wisconsin.
Thanks, Kate. Peggy. I haven't heard from Peggy.
Hello.
Oh, you're there.
Hello.
You're there.
Yes, I'm here. I'm from Atlanta, Life University, and I finished my facilitator training, but I have yet to actually facilitate my first group. So I'm excited about that.
That's great, and that's going to segue into some of the stuff that Jennifer's going to talk about. And then we have someone who joined us with a 210 area code. I'm not sure if that's somebody on the call who dialed in or somebody different.
It is. It's me. It's Christina. Everyone knows me as Tina, and I'm in San Antonio.
Oh, okay. And you're a facilitator in training, right?
That's right. I finished it, and I'm waiting for the recording so I can submit it. So
Okay, fantastic.
I'm kind of in between. Yes.
Great. Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks, Tina. It's great to hear your voice. Okay, well, welcome everybody. We never know. Sometimes we have people, you're joining people who are finishing up facilitator training in Spain. We have a newly minted facilitator in Germany who is working on, she just sent me a PowerPoint presentation of CIT in German, which is exciting to see. We have South America, we have Mexico. So a growing network of individuals and big hearts that are going to be working together. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to as everyone knows and loves, our Director of Training, Jennifer Valtos.
Thanks, Michael. So it's wonderful to see faces I haven't seen in a while, or faces I've never seen before. Sue, it's nice to put a name with a face. You and I have talked on many occasions, but this is the first time I'm seeing a face, so I'm really excited to do that. And so I've got a couple of things on my agenda, and I would love some feedback from all of you. So if I start scribbling or typing real quick, it's because I'm trying to get some notes down and so that I don't forget. But for the folks who are still finishing up their requirements for the facilitators of training, and not the ones that have just started, because hopefully you're going to be getting through this process, but I would welcome your feedback as well as to what would be helpful to get you through the process. Is it a monthly check-in call? Is it a weekly check-in call? Is it an email to say, hey, how are you going? What's going on? I worked with a group, and I won't call out individual names, but I worked with a group that gave me permission to heckle them on a regular basis and to give them grief. I'm like, I don't want to, insert myself in your lives. They're like, do it, insert yourself in our lives. So they got regular emails from me saying, where are you in the process? How are you? Did you need to do this? What have you done so far? And so I was, basically they wanted me to give them grief. Would a mentor be helpful? So I'm just trying to find some ideas as to how we can get our facilitators in training finished and through the process so that we can have you facilitating courses out there. So thoughts, comments from folks who have finished, folks who are in process, folks who are still brand new and going through the course right now.
I guess I have to respond. So I am having difficulties finishing. So I've gone through the training, but I seem to not have enough time to find the time to concentrate on finishing.
Yeah.
So yeah, the grief might help, but it's time that seems to get in my way because I like to have a block of time to really focus, and that seems to be my thing. And then I've taken all of the materials and have done my own binder, which I've been trying to put them in the sections that you're actually doing now. And so that kind of created somewhat of a, not confusion, but I know, it takes effort to make sure that I've got all the areas in the right place in order to do it in a chronological way. And that's probably the way my own brain works, is I need to see things in a chronological order. And you mentioned the PowerPoints. Yes, I'd like to see those PowerPoints in one location, and maybe they are. I just, recently was looking for them and wasn't sure. But that's, yeah.
Thank you. I want to turn to Sue, but I don't mean to interject on Jennifer. I just want to mention that Mara said something in the chat that Jennifer might not be seeing. So I just want to clarify. So Mara asked the question that everyone might be able to see, but what are the things we're talking about? So what we're talking about are the CEs and the contemplative practices. So early in the program, we didn't have the structured facilitator training that we have now where everybody meets once a week. And so people like Tina, for example, and Sue, I believe also, so others would just come in and they would just facilitate in a course for a couple sessions, but then everything else they were on their own. And so that proved to be very difficult. But then there are people who have been through the weekly facilitator training and still haven't quite finished. So even at the end of the 10 weeks, didn't quite keep up with the weekly deadlines, and we're not very strict about it either. So they're just trying to catch up. And so what are the things that we can do? The question on the table is, what are the things that we can do to help support that? Sue.
Yeah, I don't know if this is that useful to the way people are going through now, because I went through, as Michael just described, but it seemed like it was driving me crazy. It was taking me forever. And I got, so what pushed me over the edge and was extremely helpful was a small group of us got together every couple of weeks and just talked through conceptually and ideas and that kind of thing. And I just found it really, really, really valuable. So I don't know, that's the kind of thing people could do on Zoom, even though we did it in person.
Thank you very much, Sue. I appreciate that. Other thoughts, comments? Okay.
I don't know if I'm live. Can you hear me, Jennifer?
I can hear you, Nancy.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I think I'm doing all right. I'm having a lot of confusion and I don't know why. Well, maybe not a lot. I'm getting better thanks to your cheat sheet, but I go on one web, I type in compassionateintegrity.org and one site comes up, but it's not really the site. It's another one that has the course materials on it that I'm able to access. I don't understand how that works. So I'm sort of going back and forth between two. I put them on favorites now. You sent me something, course materials, because on one website, I would hit course materials and it wouldn't give me anything. Download it. I couldn't, not the screen you sent me. So, but the one you sent me where I do the live link where it says course materials, then I get PowerPoints and everything I needed. But it's not on the one that I log in to put my curricular engagements in. I don't know why. So I find it, I'm going all over the place looking at the training manual, then that has activities, this one, I don't know what's happening. It's very confusing to me. I mean.
Okay, how can I help to simplify?
So I didn't know, do I need to buy the hard copy training manual or just keep segueing back and forth? I'm not sure why one, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. That's what I'm saying. I'm able to negotiate, but it takes a lot of time and it's very, yeah, time consuming to go back and forth like that. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or what.
So let me address that in a couple of different ways. One is there's the CIT website itself, and then there's the online education platform that we use for delivering the facilitator and training materials. I'll explain a little bit of that later because that's more about the people in that course. So I'll address that. On the CIT website itself, and actually I'll just go ahead and, if Jennifer allows me to, I'm going to share this real quickly for people. So this might be helpful for everybody. Is if you see that website, there are two different areas where you're going to find course materials, and there's two main areas that you're going to want to be interested in. One is this course material here, where if I click on it, it'll have download materials or purchase materials. Download materials, this is all accessible to anybody. So this would be for your participants, for friends, for anyone you want to tell about the program. They can come to course materials, click on download materials, and get access from here to the participant manual, to the podcast, to the practice recordings, all this information. If you click on the purchase materials, as of this time, the only thing we have available for purchase are the manual, not the facilitator guide, but the actual CIT manual, and our journals that are just empty notebooks for people to take notes in. Those are sold at cost, by the way, just so you know. So that's one. That's all about participants. Over here, down here, we have facilitator login. and there's a menu that drops down from here. If you click on one of these links but you're not logged in, it will indicate that you can't get access to it. So it's possible that that may be one place people are going by accident. If they need to log in, you have to click on the facilitator login itself, where I don't know if it'll work if I click on it now because I've already logged in. Yeah, so I've already logged in, so it doesn't tell me to log in. But then once I'm logged in, I can have access to most of these. And I say most because if you're not a level 2, you won't have access to that. But here we have facilitator forums, which are still not really active yet. That'll be coming. Then you have facilitator course materials. That's what you need to access in order for you to teach the course. And that's where you'll be able to access the guide, PowerPoint presentations, consent to participate, all of the stuff, the resources that you're going to need. If you go back to this menu, you'll also see a new course submission form, which is for people who are facilitators, a different link to the facilitator training video. So if you just want to go there, and your facilitator in training dashboard, which is what you would need to submit these CEs. So we definitely, probably not for today's call, but we're open for any kinds of navigational suggestions to make this easier. We're very open to that. But hopefully also the more you use it, the more familiar it'll be for you.
Okay, thank you. That clarified something I was needing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've got a question. We've finished up our course, and we sent everyone a link to the online evaluation form, but then what?
Okay, so
Do we get the results, or do you get the results? Or I had a couple say, yeah, we did that, and I'm like, thank you, and I hadn't heard anything back. So I think, what's next?
Yeah, so next thing on that, great question. Next thing on that is that we will, we'll get those results, and then we'll put them together in a spreadsheet, export them into a spreadsheet and submit and send them to you for your feedback. So you can take a look at it. That'll come soon. Back to Jennifer.
No, it wasn't a mistake. Goodbye.
Hold on, I'm writing myself a note. Multitasking is a myth, just so we're all clear. All right, any other thoughts, comments, feedback on being able to get folks through the process? Folks who are through the process and facilitating, do you have any tips or encouragement or motivation for our folks who are still in process?
I would just say, as someone who just recently went through it and now we've completed our first course, I would just say to you all, I know it may seem like it's a impossibility, Anita, because of all the timing and all the various things that we have to do in our lives. But I would say, just want to encourage you to stay the course because it's really well worth it. And after the first course, finishing it and seeing the effect that it has on those who went through the course, it is well worth it. Just well worth the time, and maybe extra hours you have to spend up at night doing the engagements and all that kind of stuff. So just want to encourage you to stay the course.
I wanted to also say that once you get a couple under your belt, they're so much easier to do. It's just the first 2 or 3, I think, that were like, what am I doing? And maybe, I don't know if it would be possible to have a little example, something not quite as nice as the ones in the manual or the ones that are actually used, but maybe an example that someone actually in the course has done as a way of showing kind of step-by-step how this came about.
Yeah, I totally agree, Pamela. I was just going to say the same thing, that I've only done 2 of them so far because we're only 2 weeks in, but I'm sort of like, is this a story? Does this count? I don't feel like it's meaty enough. And so even just having like a sample for each of the choices. So we say like, oh, okay, I do have enough, or, oh no, that's not enough. I need to think through that more. I think would be great.
Yeah.
That would be easy enough. That's great. And we can definitely do that.
Provide some of that concrete feedback. All right. So now for the folks that are facilitating, we've had a lot of questions from FITs and folks who are still working through the process. So I've got like a whole bunch of different sub questions underneath it. So I'm going to start throwing questions out and would love the feedback from all of you. How are facilitators organizing or setting up programs? And I'll go through the questions again. I might even put them in the chat box if I'm that organized. But how are you making connections to share CIT? What strategies have you used that have been successful? What are you going to try next? How can we connect facilitators with each other? And then my last question, of course, is just how can we help you make all those connections and do that kind of stuff? So anything you want to start with, especially for those of you who have already done a course, or for those of you who are getting ready to launch one. I think Compassionate Houston, you guys are going to be doing one soon or doing a taste of. So
we're doing a taste of in about 10 days from now. And it's part of Compassion Week, so it just fits into a week of other programs. And it's 90 minutes long. And I think it's going to be well attended. I'm not really sure. We have a lot of promotion, including the place where we're holding it. And they're promoting it internally too. And I think that's another possible key to, if you combine with someone to co-sponsor it, that you might get many ways of promoting the taste of and maybe get more people to come. But that's not very far along. So, I mean, we haven't done it yet. So we'll chime in later and let you know.
Can I ask what the taste of encompasses?
There's actually a formal one that Michael and Jennifer, I think, have put up. This one is a little bit longer than that, so it's 90 minutes. So we're adding some things that a little bit longer on the foundation, maybe a little bit longer on skill 1, and then hoping to like really define the other 9 skills without, you know, going into great detail.
Yeah, so one of the things is once you've, if you look actually on the PowerPoint section of the CIT website, there's a CIT overview and a video about that, and that's kind of meant as a marketing tool. But to Pam's point, is then you can draw in whatever you think your audience. Oftentimes we'll give a little bit of skill 1, because what we want is for people to walk out having actually experienced something, a la the taste of, actually having experienced something, and they can go, wow, that works, you know? And so some of it will depend on the audience that you're speaking to, whether it's doing an empathy line or doing a hi, who are you activity, or introducing the idea of common humanity. Whatever it is that you think your group would like most, you give an overview and then a little bit of a taste of it, which is one add-on question I would also throw out there with integrated into what Jennifer has put up there, which I copied and pasted into the Zoom call, the chat, is ideas of maybe going out, even though, as Charlie just said, I just actually finished a course this morning with a group of K through 12 teachers or high school teachers. And again, it's just every time you end, it's just this feeling of appreciation for what people have gone through and what they tell you, how it's changed what they're thinking, et cetera. It's been very powerful. But going through all 10 skills is really, really important. On the other hand, it may be that to launch a group, you might say, you know what, I'm just going to offer the first 4 skills. I'm going to offer self-cultivation as series 1, and then people can do series 2, but only if they've done series 1. But maybe if you're having difficulty finding a place or working with a group that wants to do all 10, commit to all 10 weeks right up front, it's feel free to, and this is what we're wanting feedback to, is feel free to not to reduce some of those barriers to entry. So.
Do you let people know in that case then that they would need to take the full 10 weeks if they were interested in going on and becoming a facilitator? So they, okay.
I'm really glad to hear that, Michael, because I know that was something that I suggested I was thinking about doing, and I'm glad that it has your blessing.
Yeah, I think I actually might have responded to you at some point, or I might have just thought I responded to you. But yeah, I would definitely encourage that. And again, it's hard because we know how powerful, we, the collective we, that doing skill series 2, and then especially the system stuff is. But if we find resistance, or someone saying 10 weeks, I can't commit to all that time. The other thing is self-cultivation, and can be done as a one-day intensive, right? So if someone says, well, I can give you one day, you could do a Saturday or Sunday workshop or something like that. So just be thinking about different ways that you can integrate and work with the material, because ultimately at the end of the day, we want the material out there and people using it. It was a really interesting thing. I told Jennifer I might post something on our Facebook page, but article and story that was on NPR this morning, and it was all about it's titled "The End of Empathy." And but if you dig into the story more, it's really actually not about the end of empathy as much as it is the increase in in-group bias. And so when you think about the way we incorporate common humanity and interdependence and systems, it's really in so many ways the antidote to that that alarming trend. And so we want the material out there, obviously, but if you can find creative ways to get people to engage with it in different formats that may be more accessible for that particular population, then I would go for it.
You're right. I was reading that same article, and I think one of the things to do with the taste of is to already set up the next one. So already have, even if it's 3 modules or 1 module, the self-cultivation sounds like a perfect one to segue from the taste of, and then offer the next one to them and see those people that might want to participate. Mm-hmm.
Just on a positive note, Cleveland Clinic has on their website, Why Empathy Matters, now more than ever. And it's part of the whole movement of healthcare to be compassionate healthcare, which is the field I'm in. So I'm happy to see it moving in that direction. So there's no end of empathy. It matters.
Amen.
Yes, and on the same veins, for those in my class, I've talked about my kiddos before, but my little guy who's 7 was invited to do the announcements in school today. And their little thing was about caring and empathy.
Beautiful.
It was so they gave them a little script. I'll post it to our group. It's really sweet.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, like many of you, I'm in the new facilitator training, so I'm talking about this to everyone I know. I've been brainstorming places I would like to take it. So one, right now, I'd rather do this full time, but right now I'm doing real estate. And so at our office last week, our team leader said some realtor had posted something very insensitive, very intolerant about a group of people, and had been fired, had their license taken away. And I saw that as my opportunity to say, hey, I could do a training for our people here. And she thought that was a great idea and wanted to have me do it. And then another way I got involved with compassion in the first place was through the book club. And I facilitated that at the Muslim Community Center. And so when I first read our information for this class, I thought I had to go out and do this class before we finished. So I already asked them, can I do a class with you at the Muslim Community Center? And they were like, yeah, that'd be great. So I'm working on it. I also looked up prisons in our area because I know you guys work in prisons a lot. And I've been looking for grants, and I kind of wanted to ask, I know you said you had some grant money for working with schools, and didn't know if we could also help maybe write grants to do more of this. So a couple of my ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're in the advancement office at Life University. We're short-staffed right now. We're trying to hire 2 more officers that are going to be working with development. And once they hire at least one of those people, I've been told by the director of development or advancement, the VP of advancement, that one of those people will be partially assigned to us. And so any ideas, collectively, we're obviously a lot stronger than we are individually. And so one of the ideas I have is for us to write a grant for prison work in CIT, so that we can have, and the way the K through 12 grant works is that we've secured the grant, but that anybody who comes to us with a K through 12 population that of educators that they can work with, we can allocate $1,000 per facilitator to facilitate that course. So I would think of a similar kind of way of doing work with prisons, right? Where anyone who can come to us and say, I've got a prison and they want to work with us in Tucson, and we say, great, we can help fund that initiative, including the materials and all that kind of stuff.
Michael, did you say K through what age?
12.
You could do K through 12 for the full 10 series?
Yep, for educators. Yep.
You can, okay, great, thank you.
Other thoughts, comments? These are all great ideas.
Who's in Boston? Who's in the group that's in Boston?
Do we have, Michael, do we have a group in Boston? I don't know of anybody in Boston currently. We've got at least one facilitator in training who's in Massachusetts, but I don't know exactly where she is.
We have one in Massachusetts and one in New Hampshire too, or Vermont.
So I'll be doing a documentary. I'll be there for 6 weeks doing a documentary with teachers, students from Israel and students from Pakistan. And it's called Art Bridge. They're bringing them together. And so part of what I wanted to do is to see if we can do a little bit with CIT, or if nothing else, introduce you to the people from Arts Bridge.
Yes, please. That would be awesome. I'll see if I can find out where exactly. So you're going to be in Boston, Anita? What are your dates?
This last week in June and all of July. And so I'll be documenting, the interaction of these two cultures. They're young people. They have a chance to bond with each other, and then they go back to their communities, and hopefully they've learned, something about each other. And so the documentary will be about what happens over those 6 weeks. But they do have a training the first week, and I'm not completely sure what that training is, but this might be an opportunity to do something with CIT, and then we could talk offline more about that. Happy to make the connection.
Excellent. Yep. I would love it.
Can you give us, are there tools available for how to bridge that gap between somebody saying that they're interested and then presenting a more detailed outline of the program? Do we send them the videos to look at, or is there some sort of guideline for that that's available?
We don't, well, and Michael, you can chime in here, but we don't have anything concrete like that you could hand them and say, well, we have a brochure on the CIT website that absolutely you can download, you can print, you can share that with them. Shares a little bit about the program and the 3-in-3 model that we use as our educational model. So that's there. We also have on the PowerPoint section the CIT overview, which is about a 30-minute PowerPoint. It's real quick, provides some information. I don't know if that is exactly what you're looking for, Lauren. Basically, when I've had folks who are interested, I just start talking. And maybe that's not the best thing to do. But if they start asking questions, then I'll start responding. And then, of course, I always share with them our upcoming opportunities, depending on where they're located. So I had somebody who said they were interested. I'm like, where are you located? If we have a facilitator who's doing an on-the-ground course, I'd be happy to connect you. Otherwise, our online courses are available. The next one starts in May. We can, we do them through the Charter for Compassion at this point. So I then point them in the direction of resources. Does that answer your question, or are you looking for something a little more concrete?
No, that answers some of the questions. It was also, I guess, in the vein of if somebody is interested in you going to their organization and doing it, like how you, I guess, would communicate with somebody in HR, or how to make it more official.
That initial.
Yeah. So like what I did, and you took it at the JCC, and so what I did there was someone introduced me there. I went there and I took them through that CIT overview presentation that's on the website. And so I got to explain them explain to them the different components of it and the educational model and stuff like that. And then that was enough for them to say, okay, great. Can you then come in, present it to the whole staff and see who's interested?
So one thing that we did, we just, as we were introducing people to this, and we did kind of a little bit of that taste of CIT, but people that weren't able to come, they said, well, what is it about? And we just sent them to the website and said, you know, that whole introductory, what is it all about, was, you know, I thought was good. So we just sent them there and said, this kind of explains what it's all about, and then come back and let us know if you're interested in pursuing it. So we just sent them to the website.
And we had a couple who were not able to attend the Taste of CIT that we had held at our home, and they actually went to the website and they wound up signing up for the course. So
great. I'm going to say just a couple things because unfortunately I messed my calendar up and thought we were starting at 12, so I've got to run, but Jennifer's going to facilitate the last 10-15 minutes. I just wanted to say a couple things other than it was wonderful to see everybody and to connect you. But one of the sub questions that I don't want to miss that maybe Jennifer can facilitate is how do we connect you together better? I mean, you can see there's probably 80 of you out there. And unfortunately, if you add the people that are incarcerated, there's probably 110. So it's a growing network of people who have this incredible, I mean, the resources that are just on this call are ridiculous, and the common themes and the common interests and stuff. So we thought about maybe a facilitator group on Facebook. I don't particularly love Facebook, but whatever. Anyway, that's one thing, is how do we network everyone together and make this more grassroots? Second thing is the C-Learning platform launched in India last week or 2 weeks ago through Emory, which is all about the curriculum of these exact skills, but done in schools, which begs the question, which is already coming to us, what do we do to educate the teachers and adults? And so I've got a call later in a couple weeks with somebody who runs a UNESCO program for youth 18 to 25 all over the world that are going to want CIT potentially. So there's lots happening, lots of opportunities for everybody. And so I just want to say you're the early adopters, and thank you so much. And it's so exciting, and we've got so many great things ahead of us. So thank you for that. I'm just going to say quick goodbye and turn it back over to Jennifer. Thank you.
Bye, Michael. All right. Other thoughts, comments, questions, anything that we want to throw out there as far as how we can connect you? I know that there have been some requests for, and I don't want to do it without permission. The problem is getting everybody to say yes. We've had a request for an email list, kind of like a distribution list, and then a person's name, their email address, and where they're located so that we can connect people that way. I know in the chat box, Martha Ann requested anybody in San Antonio. There's a bunch of people in San Antonio, so I can send you the name of one person in San Antonio, and she'll get you connected to a whole bunch of other people. For those of you who have met Ann, you'll know that if I say, hey, Ann, we've got somebody, do you know Ann? Oh, wait, hold on. Go ahead. Try to talk now.
I work with Ann constantly for the last 25 years, and Ann has already said, oh, good, you're getting facilitator training. In our city network, we need you. But the person in the call today from San Antonio, I'm not sure who you are.
Do we have anybody from San Antonio? We have Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. I don't know if we have a San Antonio right now. Did I miss that one?
Tina said she was there.
Tina, okay, Tina. Tina, you're in San Antonio, yes?
Yes, I am. And Ann's the one that I know her well, and she reaches out often in numerous ways. So, yeah.
Tina, I'm Martha Ann Kirk, University of the Incarnate Word, constantly at networking things. Do I know you personally?
Oh, yes, I've met you many times, yes.
Right.
But I do have to say there was a large window where I took a sabbatical from everything because I was caring for an ill husband at home who passed away. So I took a long time off, and then reconnected in many ways. So that window might have been where I missed you several times.
Thank you for sharing that, Tina. Is it okay if I share the contact information I have for you with Martha Ann? I can send you both an email and get you two connected.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yes.
the one who also spoke of you when I was looking for a contact was Deborah Hannes.
Yes. Yes. Thanks.
Yes. So yes, please share that information so I can connect. In fact, something else as an aside, I wanted to follow up with you and just hadn't done it yet. So yes, please share that information.
Excellent. I will do that. I will send you both an email later on today.
Perfect. Thank you.
I love
Just
it.
as far as technology, those who don't like Facebook, I mean, I guess if it were a private group, we would be okay. But anyway, there's obviously other technologies out there where we might be able to have more of a private chat. I'm part of a GroupMe app where you can create your own group and only the people invited can participate. But there's got to be other things out there. But I think it's a great idea, obviously, to be able to share. You guys said that you were going to kind of combine all the ideas that we're coming up with. So if we're all able to log in and it's, locked down, again, that would be my thought for having a lot of these resources where we can share them and everybody could click on them and use them as well.
Okay, yeah, on the CIT website, Mara, that does require a login, so that would be something that would be secure. Now, one of the questions or one of the things is the facilitator forums Michael clicked on that page earlier. So when we get to the facilitator login page, there's a link for facilitator forums. Those are not currently monitored all the time because it's a lot, potentially a lot. And so I have to chuckle. So the department or the Center for Compassion, Integrity, and Secular Ethics is 2 people. It's Michael and I. So we rely a lot on volunteers and people like Rebecca who are looking to be more involved in some way, shape, or form. So if there are folks who are interested in serving as a volunteer or in helping to facilitate or moderate the facilitator forums, that is a great place for us to be able to have conversation outside of the classroom. So for those of you who are doing the online training right now, we have the discussions in the online platform, which is great. But when you leave the online course, where do you go and where do you have questions answered and things like that? Well, it's either an email to Michael or I, unless we can get the facilitator forums up and running. So if that's something folks are interested in doing or helping to do, I would be thrilled beyond belief to have somebody sit down and walk through that so that we can create a better resource for all of you. Michael talks about all these different options and opportunities that they're hopefully going to get thrown our way, which is wonderful, but without a team of people to facilitate or without a team of people to go out and share it, it relies on 2 individuals and neither one of us have that kind of time to be able to do that. So we would love for more people to be able to go out and to do those things. So however we can do that, and if it's through the facilitator forums or just a discussion board, our website doesn't have the best way to have a discussion board. So the facilitator forums right now are probably the best way to have that ongoing dialogue or conversation like we have in the online platform. So that's I'm going to write myself a note. So I love these calls. And then when I get off the calls, I'm like, gosh, my agenda for things to do today just got a whole lot longer.
Jennifer, I'm not volunteering to take on the whole thing, but I would be happy to have a conversation with you offline about what you think that would entail in terms of, being a co-moderator or, helping to get that going.
Excellent. Thank you, Lauren.
Sure.
I might be able to help Lauren.
Okay.
Figure out, let me know.
I love it. So, okay, so I have to laugh. I'm totally dating myself. Did anybody ever watch the show The A-Team? So when I was growing up, one of my dad's favorite TV shows was The A-Team. Everything in my house stopped on Tuesday night at 9 o'clock for my dad for 1 hour. He was renovating at the kitchen, and everything stopped at 9 o'clock so that my dad could watch The A-Team. And all I remember is Hannibal Smith. I love it when a plan comes together. So I'm totally dating myself, but I had to share. I love it when a plan comes together. I know we've had some folks who've had to log off, and I don't want to take time if we're at the point where we can say goodbye for now. I'm
Ginger,
yeah.
Could I just ask, is the date set yet for the next online?
Yes.
It is? When is that?
So the next online course is going to start with the first Zoom call on May 20th.
Okay.
And the facilitator or the course room, the online course room, will probably open 1 week prior to that. So folks have access to the materials by like the 14th or the 13th or 14th of May. And that will be hosted through the Charter for Compassion. So as I just shared with somebody else today, you can always check the Charter for Compassion website. And on the right-hand side for CEI, which is the Charter Education Initiative, all the courses that are coming up are listed. It's not there yet, I don't think. But the closer we get to it, it'll be there. But we're going to be launching it today, Charter.
Right.
Yep.
What is that course?
That's the initial course. So the one you took in person, we do an online version of that, and we host it through Zoom, the technology that we use for the facilitator training.
Okay, so that's for anybody that wants to do it virtually.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. That one's pretty cool because the last course we did, we had folks from all over the world in one place at the same time, which was really, really cool. I love technology for that reason, because you can have people from all over the world in one place at the same time, which is amazing. And then the next thing I wanted to share was the date for the next facilitator call. And of course, I don't have my calendar in front of me. It is the second Monday in May. It's the Monday after, I think it's the 14th.
13th
13th?
is the Monday.
Monday the 13th is going to be our next facilitator call. So you can mark your calendars now.
The time?
Same time, 12:30 Eastern Standard, Eastern Daylight, whatever.
Okay, 11:30 Central.
Yes. Yep. So if you have other thoughts that you want to share, you can always send me an email. I'd love to hear it. My inbox right now has exploded, which is fine. So it's taking me a little bit longer than normal to get emails, but if you send me an email about more ways that you think we can connect facilitators with each other and ways to get the facilitator forums up and running and what that might look like and things like that, I'm all ears and would love to hear feedback from you. And of course, for those of you who are still going through the process, if you think of anything that would be helpful going through facilitator and training. And I know, as Charlie mentioned it, it was just the encouragement to do it. So I will add my 2 cents. When I did my facilitator training, I did the manner in which Sue talked about. So I went in and I facilitated my sessions in a real live course with my colleagues on campus at Life. And then I was left to my own devices to do my CEs and my practices. And I wasn't really good at it. I'm not going to lie. I could have been let me rephrase that. I could have been a whole lot better. And then so finally one day I was just like, enough is enough. And so I sat down and I think I wrote 4 or 5 curricular engagements. Like I got myself into that frame of mind, and I sat down and I wrote 4 or 5 CEs. And then the next morning it was quiet. It was summer break. My children were still asleep and I was up at like 6 a.m. And I just did several of the practices, and I just spent 2 or 3 hours just doing practices. And I was in a good space to do it at that time. Like I couldn't sit down and do that now. I'd probably cry. But at that particular moment in time, I had the time, I had the space to do it. So that's what got me through it. And knowing I couldn't work for the Center for Compassion, Integrity, and Secular Ethics if I didn't have all my stuff done was also a motivating factor, not gonna lie. So I am here to help you through the process because I struggled with it myself. I am here to help you through that process. So, anything else? Thoughts, comments?
I had got a question.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had got a question in the forum about, and I know that my setting for the first week was not the best setting, my physical setting. But is it possible, but because the introductions and the skill 1 are combined together, I felt like for me, it would be really helpful to go through skill 1 again, just on its own. Is it possible to like hop into that May class just for the first one, or if there's another venue to just be, you know, a participant again, or join another facilitator course for that first one? For me, them being combined, I don't think that I got the full course 1, the full skill 1. Yeah.
Yep. That should not be a problem, Lauren. I'm sure we can find you an opportunity to do that, whether it's the online course or another one that we're going to be offering in the Atlanta area. Like you said, if it's just that one skill, that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? Questions, comments, concerns, wisecracks?
Thank you for your encouragement.
Ah, you're welcome, Anita. That's what I'm here for. All right. If you all don't have anything else, I will sign off. I will stop recording. I will get this call posted hopefully within the next couple of days so that folks who weren't able to join us are able to watch it. And then of course, if you have any questions or anything you want to go back and refer to, please feel free. It'll be posted there. And of course, I'm here as a resource if you need anything. I'm totally going to throw her under the bus. Rebecca is here as a resource if you need anything. So we want to see you be successful as facilitators in training, and for our facilitators who are already out there, we want to see you continue to do wonderful things. So however we can do to help that, let us know. All right.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Cool. Have a great week, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
And some of you I'll see either Tuesday or Wednesday. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
You hear me?
I can now.
Yay.
All right.
I don't know what happened in the in-between. I think I've just got a lag, so that because I wasn't working last week, Michael just assumed I wasn't working this week, or I was working with the headphones before I did the update, and then I still had the headphones in after I did the update. So that